To build an informed vision, a common informed vision, we need a resource, global reference documents. It's impossible today to build a vision about education and our system of education without understanding the main trends at the world level. People now work and communicate in a globalized, interconnected world pushed by the ICT, and building a common vision and position one region, one country, it's necessary to be informed about the world trends and what other countries are doing at the world stage to position in a competitive way with other countries. Then we choose a few documents to start understanding what these trends are in today's world. Let's look to the main documents now.
Considering the topics of this workshop, we have three themes to look at, especially in what concerns the global documents of reference. The first theme is sustainability, and this obliges us to look to the main sustainable development reference documents like Sustainable Development Goals and the index framework, whatever. The second theme is EDU, education. Then we link sustainability with education. And the second group of documents we are obliged to look at is the documents related to education. The third theme will be technology documents. Then, as a global reference document, we look at documents on sustainability, on education, and technology. And this, the link of these three documents and these three themes will make this workshop different, unique, and important to support the teams who are deploying technology in education in a sustainable way. On sustainability, we choose the main documents which creates the Sustainable Development Goals and the financing aspect and everything around and related to the development of the Sustainable Development Goals. In 25 of September, the United Nations General Assembly approves a resolution, the resolution 71, and this resolution approves the Sustainable Development Goals. Exactly the name of the resolution is Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, but everybody knows now as the Sustainable Development Goals. Then all this document express a vision in different aspects, and is this vision we try to develop and to apply to the vision of sustainable education. Then this document is the main source of sustainable education, and we will look at this document very deep in detail when we go to the document. But this is only the main reference now, the reference of the document, and this document will follow us all over the workshop and all the projects we are participating. Another very important document is the Global Indicator Framework for Sustainable Development Goals and Targets. The Sustainable Development Goals, which succeed to the Millennium Development Goals, bring some new tools to be more effective. Everybody recognizes that Millennium Development Goals were not achieved, especially in some key areas. And the SDGs bring some aspects, we will see, especially these indicators, and also on finance, trying to be more effective on its achievements and the monitoring its achievements. By another resolution, the resolution of the United Nations General Assembly of 6th of July 2017, the resolution 71-313, it was approved the global indicator framework and gives to the Statistical Commission the responsibility with other institutions to develop a framework of indicators at global level, at sector level, and we will see it in detail in the future of this workshop. And these indicators will allow to have a clear vision what is the achievements year by year on the goals and targets. And this is a very, very important tool which can make possible to compare different situations, different countries, different regions. And this, I think, is one of the best achievements of SDGs compared with MDGs. The third document we choose for this part on sustainability is the Addis Ababa Action Agenda. Is the result of the third international conference on financing for development, and is the second or the other aspect which is a very important on SDGs, the financing of sustainable development. Then we have the vision, the SDG, the resolution 71, we have the indicators, and we have the financing for sustainable development goals. This agenda is very important, and in the follow-up of this agenda, it will be established a strategy for financing for development. Then these three documents, vision, monitoring, and financing resources, are the three main documents which help us to create a vision what sustainable education project can be and how we develop a project which have the capacity to be sustainable and to survive different difficulties on the process. The second group of documents will be on education. As explained, we choose documents which are related to education, but also which are related to sustainability or SDGs and to technology. And these documents are mainly political documents at international level from international organizations. And these documents are very important because they allow any group, any team to prepare a proposal and to contextualize a proposal in the main reference documents, which even lead the international policies, the international financing systems, and help to design the program at national level and the possibility to link with other programs or to source resources. Then it put any specific project in a global context.
The first document we go to look at is the Incheon Declaration. This is the outcome of the Incheon Conference on Education organized by UNESCO and other organizations in South Korea, in Incheon, and it defines education until 2030 and preparing also the input of education to the Sustainable Development Goals agenda. The main message of this Incheon Declaration and Conference is the importance to promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. We are coming from an industrial era. In that era, there was a time for learning and a time to work. That was the framework of the industrial workplace. Today's world demands learning is lifelong, and everybody cannot stop to learn because the workplace is changing very fast. The life is changing very fast, and people need to have time to work and learn all the time at the same time. In this declaration, we also consider in its paragraph 10 the importance of ICT, information and science, and all these skills as a very strong enabler of education in all its aspects, on content, on management, and the effective learning demands the wise use of ICT in education. To look to this document, to this declaration, is a step to understand what is the world vision and the world trends on education. To discuss this, to understand and criticize the document at each national, each region context, is the aim of this document in this workshop and in this program. Another important document is the framework for action, which starts in Incheon and have an impact to define the sustainable development goals in what concerns the goal for education. This framework have 10 targets. We will analyze each of them when we analyze this document. The idea here is to explain then the framework of action is the document which has been used, and then we need to look to the SDG in all its dimensions and how these targets, how this goal is aligned with the policies of each country and also aligned with other SDGs, other goals of the SDGs. Because education is an enabler, is a dimension of the different goals on energy and water in cities, whatever. Education is part of the agenda. Then we need to look to this framework, and this framework is like the plan of action for the coming years and how to define education. Actually, linked to the 10 targets, there is an indicators framework with indicators to measure how the goal, how each of the targets are evolving in the reality. And that's why it's very important to understand the targets, how to use the targets to define policies, and also how to monitor. And this is one of the advantages of the Sustainable Development Goals agenda, is they create a global indicators, and there is a very deep work now to define the indicators, which by the way are already defined, but how to measure each of indicator. And this is a wide discussion where every stakeholder can participate, not only the governments, but also companies, NGOs, and other kind of entities have an input to give how to achieve these goals, how to achieve these targets, and even how to measure. Remember, now we can use big data, information systems. We can use AI, blockchain, whatever technologies to measure the outcomes of education, and not only the system. And that's why the discussion around the indicators framework and the awareness about this in our policies is an essential part of the future policy of education. That said, on the ICT, on the information communication technologies and education, we also choose to these documents, to include in this assortment of documents to be looked at, the UNESCO Qingdao Declaration, also agreed in the same year. And this document, this declaration, aim is to seize digital opportunities to lead education transformation. One of the important aspects of this declaration is all girls and boys have access to connected digital devices until 2030. And why is this so important? Not only because the content should be used, not only because the people and the students and the teachers have to understand the tools of 21st century, but even if we want to manage to get information about the student needs, how to help the students with better content, with better data, to help them to manage their learning experience, their education life, we need to have all these students and teachers and administrators connected with platforms which help them to have their learning management system and to provide them with all the capacity of 21st century reality, workplace, and life. That's why we choose also this declaration, the Qingdao Declaration, and all these documents should be understood, read, discussed, and be object of discussions in the workshop or in their class, in the classroom or in the school, or even organizing, discussing and participation plans at national level or even international level, and to make these documents as reference. Next time these documents will be updated or replaced, then the capacity to understand the problems will be even better. And that will be a good reason to have a democratic discussion and critical reading of these documents in our sessions and in this kind of program. To include main documents which are related to education, technology, and sustainability, we choose the other document related to these three themes, which is Education for Sustainable Development Goals, Learning Objectives, published by UNESCO. And this document is very important on the design of the curriculum and a good way to link education to sustainable development and sustainable development goals, and also to technology. This is very important when we try to create and develop projects which are sustainable, which are based on technology and on education, focus on education. It's important the infrastructure of the schools and the campus, the curricula, and all the system can be organized in such a way, then everything will be very comprehensive. And this document establishes a good program, a good plan. It's not a final document with all details, but it's a good strategy, it's a good plan to design the curricula and to design the education system in a way to promote sustainable development. And this is very important because sustainable development goals are like a global vision for the world, and almost every country is adopting sustainable policies, sustainable development policies. And it's important to define the role of education in this process, and this document will help to position education as an asset, as a tool to make sustainable development in any country.
We will study this document in this workshop, but for now you keep the reference, and we include this document in this global vision. When we are defining the vision, we will use this document as one very important reference. Group of documents are related to technology, and this will not focus only on the technological, let's say, aspects of technology, but also its impact on employment, on jobs, and all the economic and social transformations which technology brings. Then we choose documents which can reflect this understanding, this vision. What is the role of technology, and especially what is the role of technology and its impact in education and in sustainable development. The first document we choose is a document from International Telecommunication Union related to measuring the information society. It's very important to analyze what impact these kind of projects have in the information society of a country and compare the different countries. Sometimes it's very difficult for any country to make the investments if focus one by one of the sectors, but it can help if these different sectors can work together to achieve common results. And this document gives a framework on the information society. It will be in one way related to the SDG framework indicators, but with more detail, more specific, and is a very important document to understand what is the way and what the countries are doing to develop the information society. And this work as an enabler of the knowledge society. Then education is completely linked. When we analyze this document, we go down, we dig down on this relation between education, knowledge, information, and the technologies which help and make everything possible. In this workshop, we look at how the countries are evolving in terms of technology. That's the document measuring the information society from ITU. But we also look at the future, because everybody will have to design a project on ICT in education, especially when we are looking to education. Innovation is very important. The jobs will be created around the new technologies, these new paradigms. And then the students, the younger generations, have to be ready to understand these technologies, to have a critical approach to these technologies, and to use them in the benefit of development, on sustainable development of their communities, of their countries. Then we also look at the Gartner top 10 strategic technology trends, and trying also to have one discussion around what kind of technologies will be in the future. This is analyzed year by year, but after a few years it's possible to have an idea, more or less understanding what are the technologies which we think it will be important, and in the future maybe they are not, but which ones keep year by year stronger position. Then to look at the future, and when we design a plan for education on ICT, it's important to look what kind of technologies are the main trends, the trending technologies for the future, and look to some of the the reports which exist today and are available, at least at until a certain level. Another report we choose for this package related to technology is the Future of Jobs report from the World Economic Forum. And this document we include in this package because the Future Jobs report is very linked to the jobs which will be created and the kind of jobs which will be created in the future, and also the jobs which more are more in position to disappear. And this difference of job creation, job lost, is in this report very related to the evolution of technology and which kind of technologies will come, which kind of technologies change the workplace, the life, and change also the job reality. And this document is also very important, of course, for education, for the sustainable of the economy, and also for education, because education have to prepare the people to be a person, to be a citizen, but also to be in the workplace. And as part of the work force, or the work, let's say, group, this is important. Then the jobs and the education answer and meet the future jobs, and the students and their families expect this will happen, and even the countries have to invest in this in order to create the jobs of the future. Then we include this report to follow the trends, to understand what is there, and for people who focus on this aspect.
Just a final note on this webcast, which is part of the Accelerator workshop as a second pillar of the Sustainable EDU framework policy architecture. And I invite you to visit the program webpage. You can see below in this slide, or contact us to have further information on the program or on the workshop. And updates of these webcasts or new webcasts will be added from time to time to this place, to this website. Then I invite you to visit, to contact us, and to establish collaboration to develop this approach and this kind of training for people interested in developing ICT education projects. Thank you.